This week's episode of the Inside Running Podcast is proudly sponsored by ASICS, featuring flight foam cushioning for faster transitions and features more recycled content. The all-new Gel Kayano Light 3 provides you with your most supportive, comfortable run yet. Visit asics.com.au to grab your pair today.
Child, that your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Under cover of my skin, I've heard all your names if it's all the same.
Welcome to episode number 258 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us, giving us a bit of your attention for another week. Got a big show coming at you. All the Chicago Marathon news. Got some state 10K championships to talk about up in New South Wales and Queensland. Going to try and get Reece Edwards on the line. He was the third place finisher at the Melbourne Marathon last week in 2:14. See if we can get him on. Going to do a shoe review. The ASICS Kayano Light number 3. Listen to questions. Moose on the loose. All the things that you expect on this show every week. Introducing my co-host. Down in Anglesea, just gone 3 years since he represented Australia at the 2019 World Championships over in Doha. The only male to represent Australia in the marathon that day, and there hasn't been another male to do it since. So still carries that title as our sole representative and the only one since 2019. Julian Spence, welcome to the show.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for the intro. Good pump up. That's just got better.
I was thinking about on the run.
30 years, Moose.
Oregon, we didn't send anyone, so you're still our man.
Mate, it's been long enough now that it's very far from everyone's mind. I was just thinking, no one I serve people all day in the store. Well, that's a stretch, but I serve people in the store, and I don't think anyone even realizes that I'm a runner anymore.
Sure.
Whereas probably the first year after that, like a lot of people kind of would recognize like maybe me or the story, like because I was in Ballarat or whatever. But now I've moved to Geelong. Like, no, it's just what it is. 3 years, it's gone, it passed. I don't look like a runner anymore. I don't win races. I don't win local races. So why would anyone care or know? And that's fun. Like, I don't mind, but it's just
bit sad,
I think
though,
we're
isn't
at
it?
the point now where it's gone, it's disappeared. Yeah. So now I just got to put more memorabilia out to remind people.
Nah, I reckon what you do, rip the poster of Ali and Sinead at New York off the wall and get that one of you at Doha on there.
Yeah.
You know the one where you're like splashing water over your face? We might share it on our social media. Get that up there.
You don't have to share that, please.
I like that one.
No, yeah, it's been a long time, but it would be good to see someone back. I did listen to Brett's podcast, and he said he wasn't interested in going to Turkey, was it? Is that what the next one?
Budapest, isn't it?
Yeah, is that in Turkey?
It's in Hungary, isn't it? Yeah.
Hungary, yeah. I always get those two mixed up. He said he's not interested in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said he's not interested in going to that, even if he did get the time.
Yeah. Well, the time, yeah. What is it? 2:09:30 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So he was just out of it. But
he'd be right for roll down.
Yeah, you'd think so. Ranking points, that kind of stuff. But yeah, like obviously not keen. So. I mean, hopefully they just go down to the next person. So if there's like 100 people that aren't keen, maybe you do see some further down the list get a run there.
Some Reece Edwards types, you think?
Yeah, or Andy's, guys that maybe run 2:11, 2:12.
Yep. Yeah, good thinking. Anyway, I'll introduce Croaks up in Canberra. How are you this week, Bradley?
Not too bad, thanks, Brady.
What's been
Happy
going
to be
on?
here.
Yeah, it's good to
A
see
big
you.
pump up from Brady for Croaks.
Well, I didn't think your little chat at the start was going to go so long, so I had to just keep things moving, and I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head.
I've at least finished a marathon more recently than Moose.
Yeah, true.
You have.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit the same boat as Moose, really. Haven't done anything for ages. Actually, I've never done anything, so...
The 225 guy from Gold Coast. You ran 225, didn't you? Or 224?
Yeah, much faster.
Jesus, please.
Come on, mate. He ran like 222.
I did a 2:23 time trial.
Was it 223? Was it that quick? I honestly thought you ran 225. Don't really pay
Thanks,
much
mate.
attention after 220s. Oh, sorry, Croaks.
I don't pay too much attention after 2:18s, actually.
After 217, 30 or whatever you ran. Anyway, boys, we're back for another week. Got a bit going on here. Who wants to go through their running week first? Bradley, you want to go through yours?
Yeah, okay. I had a bit of a mixed bag, actually. Like, we've had a shitload of rain here, which hasn't really helped with the motivation, because I do love getting out into nature for a lot of my runs, but we've just had so much rain that, like Mulligan's is just completely flooded, and unless you want to be running through like like shin deep water a lot of the run, then I've got to stick to the bike paths. But anyway, Monday was a good day, public holiday. And it's funny, on the Sunday, so the day before this, I was chatting to Rory and Josh Johnson, and they're like, "Oh, have you seen any snakes yet?" I'm like, "Nah." And then one of my mates was down from Sydney, and I caught up with him on the Monday morning, and he's like, "Oh, did you see any snakes out at Mulligan's?" I said, "Oh, I do during the season. I haven't seen any yet." So I went out that afternoon, and so I do 2 laps generally, and on the first lap, I saw 2 brown snakes in the space of less than 1 kilometre. I wasn't really on the lookout for them, and the first one I ran past, like it was right on the edge of where the dirt track meets like the grass, and I'd pretty much gone, and I was about probably a metre in from that, and I sort of ran past, and then sort of out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a weird sort of stick, and then I looked back, and it sort of head was up, like, you know, ready to sort of snap if it had to. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay, I better keep an eye out now. So then that's the bit just like where I do a U-turn and then head back along the fence line. And, back along the fence, 800 metres later, there was another one right up against that fence. So, and that was on my first lap. But then second lap, there was no snake sightings. So, I've never seen 2 in such a short space out there before. So I'm not sure whether all of this rain is good for snakes or bad for snakes. But anyway, so that was an hour at 4:14s. I think I said last week that I didn't feel like I was moving great. Like my back was just a bit tight. I feel like my fitness, I feel like I've recovered fully from the pneumonia, and I don't feel super unfit. But when my back gets tight, like it makes me feel unfit because I just don't feel like I'm efficient. So Tuesday, I actually decided just to take the day off, like just to sort of reset. Wednesday, jumped on the treadmill for a session, did K reps. So I just set the treadmill to 18K an hour, which is 320s, jumped off after each K for a minute. So that was pretty good. Like heart rate was a bit higher. And that's one thing I'm noticing now is that when I was doing most of my treadmill sessions during winter, the garage was like cold, whereas now, you know, you have a day where it gets up to maybe 15 or 16. The garage is like a fair bit hotter than that, and you don't really. I got a fan, but your heart rate still does creep up throughout the session, probably more so than when you're outside. But it was a decent session. So then I was behind a day. So then Thursday then became my midweek long run. So I did 90 minutes at 4:10s. Actually listened to the Jess Stenson interview on the Howie Games.
Oh, is that good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I've listened to the player profile one, but I haven't listened to the actual episode yet.
Yeah, and this wasn't a very enjoyable run actually. It was quite steamy, so I just wasn't used to the heat and the humidity. So I averaged 4:10s for 90 minutes. I then jumped on the treadmill for my Friday run. So I did 11K at 4:48s. Listened to the second part of last week's show, the live component. I really enjoyed it actually. It's nice sometimes not being part of the show and just being able to listen to you guys. So
you reckon you'd listen to our podcast each week?
Yeah, I reckon I would. Yeah, I guess because
Patreon?
I guess because I'm so. No, I would definitely wouldn't do that.
Coach's the biggest tight ass you've known, Moose.
I know, that was a gag.
But I did enjoy it. So I set the treadmill. What was it? 12.5k an hour, so 4:48s, and like it. Considering the first part of the week wasn't super enjoyable, that was one of the most enjoyable runs of the week up until that point. Yeah, and then Saturday.
Way harder though, Croaks. Like, yeah, it's good to listen to, but way harder when there's only two people there. It's more difficult. You got to talk more.
God, he can talk though, can't he?
Oh,
I was pretty much a stand-up comedian up there, wasn't I, Croaks? You hear all the laughs in the background.
Well, how about last Monday when you guys messaged me saying, "Oh, what time tonight?" I'm like, "Hang on a second, didn't you guys record the weekly show yesterday at the live show? I thought I was going to get the week off."
Too much stand-up.
Because that's what we did at the Gold Coast.
Yeah, but we missed you. That's why we wanted you back.
Anyway, so Saturday was my second session of the week. Jumped back on the treadmill because I couldn't be asked going outside. And did that sort of fartlek session. I normally do sets of 7-minute tempo, 2-minute hard, 90-second jog, but I just did 6-minute tempo, 2-minute hard, 90-second jog. Had the tempo set at 17k an hour, so 3:30s, 2-minute hard at 19k an hour, which is about 3:10s, and then the 90-second jog at 14k an hour, which is like 4:17s. So I ended up running 8k at 3:30 average for that session.
Are you presetting that?
Nah. So what I do, I roughly work out what I'm going to average for the whole session, and so I set my Coros up with, so it's pretty much 17k an hour that I average for the whole session. So I have that watch just running, which takes my heart rate and everything, and then I have a Garmin on the other side with the session set up, so it beeps at me or gives me a countdown of how long I've got for each rep, and then as I get in the last 10 seconds of each rep, I'll either adjust the treadmill up or down.
So you got 3 clocks going. You got the treadmill clock?
Well, I don't look at the treadmill clock. Treadmill clock I don't look at all.
And the Coros clock you don't look at?
No, I just look at that for heart rate, and then I occasionally glance at the Garmin for just a how long do I have for this rep.
Yeah,
if I need to change it. So yeah, it's not too bad.
Everywhere.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Actually, I think the listener question we'll do this week will be on treadmill stuff. But I find just changing the stimulus on the treadmill is the best way to get through a treadmill session. It goes way quicker than just doing a straight tempo, or even just a straight hour. I prefer to do a session on the treadmill than a straight hour, because it's just a bit boring. Yeah, and then Sunday, actually, this was a really enjoyable run. I hadn't really worked out how far I was going to go, but I woke up on Sunday morning, and because we'd had a few warmer days throughout the week and a bit of humidity around, it was, I think the apparent temperature was like 1 or something on Sunday morning, and I definitely noticed the chill in the air. So yeah, I ended up doing 30.3k at 4:06s. Most of that was on the bike path. I did go into Mulligan's for a little bit, but it was so wet that I only did like 2k in there and had to turn around and head back out. So that was 2 hours and 4 minutes. So it was only a week of 112k with a day off. But I feel like I've sort of turned the corner. Like yesterday was good, this afternoon felt good. So I just feel like the last few weeks it's been that period where you're getting back into it, where you're a bit inconsistent. But I feel like I've sort of ironed out all the kinks now with the body.
Good.
Sunday.
Good.
If I open it up, will I see a heart rate on there?
No.
No heart rate. Not on Sundays.
165. Probably the same as my fartlek on. What I average for that? The treadmill one was like mid 165 average for that fartlek.
You know what I
last K uphill 347.
Ooh, it's working there.
Just jogging in.
What was the gap on it?
Don't have it.
The gap on the run. Yeah, why don't we have that? Oh, he doesn't pay.
Just why does not sign up for Patreon?
Wears fucking 8 watches on his wrist, but won't pay for Strava Premium.
He gets more for free though, Moose.
Tell us about your week, Moose.
Nah, before we move on to Moose, what I wouldn't mind seeing from you, Croaks, just to get a bit of a fitness gauge, is maybe a park run the next couple of weeks. Just put it out there, see how you go.
I think I'm going to go and I'm going to go and pace a few guys that I coach for a park run at sort of 3:20s.
And then kick it home.
Well, no, I'd run the 5K at and then I might just do something afterwards, some hills or some 30-second reps. Okay. But no, not interested in that at the moment. I just need to.
He ain't running a 5K PB. You're not going to see him at Park.
That's the philosophy, isn't it?
That's his rule.
If he can't run PBs, he doesn't race.
Need to enter a 50K.
There you go.
PB.
Ultra trail race.
Don't giggle. That's actually a great idea for you. I still think that's your best distance. You just haven't run it yet.
I think you might be right.
Canberra has the 50K run.
No, they got rid of it.
Oh.
Yeah. They did the two. So last year was the first year they got rid of it.
Oh, yeah. That used to be the spot to do them.
It used to be back in the day where everyone ran the marathon, and then there was the option to actually add on the extra. So when Mark Tucker broke the record, that's what he did. So he ran the marathon, stopped, and then somebody said, "Oh, why don't you keep going and run the 50K Aussie record?" So that's what he did. Whereas in the last few years, it's been a completely separate race. They start on their own.
Yeah.
And it's a different course.
I see merits in both.
Tell us about your week, Moose. Got a bit of mileage here. Got it back up.
It's just consistent. It was a good week. Felt good. Body was good. So no pain, nothing like that. Just ran half an hour on Monday. Ran the Arvo after Sunday's run. Tuesday, again, just jogged around town. Enjoying just getting out again. Did a little workout Wednesday. I went into the caravan park and I did, what did I do? Let me just go into it. I didn't name it. Why didn't I name that? I think it was 3 lots or 4 lots. 1, 2, I did 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute. Just a fartlek like that when I was jogging in between 60 seconds for every recovery. It just breaks it up a little bit, and I knew that I was going to end up with 2 3-minute reps in a row, so that was on my mind for the first bit. I actually felt pretty good, except there's a massive chasm of difference between running 1 minute and running 3 minutes. And the endurance factor that you get from more mileage and from doing long runs help you in those 3-minute repeats. And that's this was one of the first sessions where I really noticed the lack of mileage creep in. So I was the 3-minute reps, I ran 325, 308s and 307s. 325 was the first one because I'm an old man, and that is about my limit off the mark. The 2-minute reps are in 307, 304s, and 306s, and the 1-minute reps 301, 248s. Oh, that was a good one. And I ran the last one in 3-minute Ks. So yeah, that was a good workout. I just jogged in between. I started out faster jogs, and then by the end, very much a shuffle of a jog. But good to get through it, and recognised, the 3 minutes at that pace was a little tough. I can get through a minute or 2 minutes, no problems, but 3 minutes hurts a bit more. Next day, 45 minutes around town, and I thought I'd do a bit of a longer run on the Friday, so I did an hour 7, which for me is a little bit longer. I did 14.3K because I ran Saturday Arvo in the new Nike Zagama trail shoe, Zoom X. It's got Zoom X through it, so it's a pretty fun little trail shoe. Ran in the Arvo because I went to Little Athletics and took down some spikes and waffles in Geelong. So, boys, Little Athletics, this is an eye-opener, right? You go down to a Shield meet, you go down to Bendigo or you don't have. Where's your closest? Shepparton, Brady.
Yeah, I don't think they even have Shield there though. But Bendigo would be, yes.
Bendigo, yeah. And how many people you reckon are there?
Oh.
How many competitors?
60.
60, yeah. So I go down to Little Athletics. It's basically sold out. They're not accepting new memberships. There's about 8 clubs there, all from around Geelong. They have 500 to 600 kids there. Across the age groups. It's manic. like, this is crazy. This is the most people I've seen at athletics ever.
Yeah.
It's been going like that for years. They're at a point where they can't accept new memberships. And this is why the whole merger between Little Athletics and like Athletics Australia was like so debated. It was like probably a year ago when the vote went up and the board decided against it, the Little Athletics board, because there's 600 kids running Little Athletics in the morning, and then there's 60 senior athletes running in the afternoon. Like, what is happening to these kids? And why aren't they linking towards senior athletics? It's an eye-opener.
No pathway.
No pathway. That's exactly the answer. There's no pathway. They finish Little Athletics, and then senior athletics is a different organisation. It requires different sign-ups. It's a whole different process, different people involved, different clubs. And, yeah, it's very much an eye.
Yeah, I have the same experience here. Like, Archie and I often do workouts around our grass track, especially in summer. And where, there's maybe 3 or 4 people who are older than 15 that take running seriously in our town of like 20,000. So, not a great ratio when there's only 3 or 4 of us. And then I'll jog often on a Friday night past this grass oval where they do the little lats. And there's like 250 people there. They've all got their little uniforms. They got sponsors all on the fence. Like, it just looks like a well-oiled machine. And I'm just like, hang on, how come there's 200 kids that do this, but then when it gets to open age in this town, there's like 3 of us. There's not even a club, not even an open club. I'm like, what happens to all these kids?
Yeah, and so I was started to ask a few parents and stuff, like, what do they like about it? And it's hanging out with their mates. And so if you continue this same setup as they got older, so if AVAA, they link with Little Athletics and provide that pathway where, okay, you go from under 17s, which is the oldest age group, up higher into under 18s, under 20s. It's all the same pathway. You're going to stay with your same mates going through, and you're going to have a lot more incentive to keep showing up, and it's easier. And yeah, it's like, I know there is a lot of politics at play with the whole Little Athletics AA merger. Yeah. I remember following
They're
that.
very trying to like protect it, aren't they? I think Little Ats, because they've got such a good product there. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They've got good product, and they've seen what AA can do to things.
But also I think though, there's more to it than that, because I feel like a lot of parents see Little Athletics as being just good all-round development. Learning to run, learning to throw things, but then as they get a little bit older, they then go into a different, like, they've learnt the basics of how to run, how to throw, all that sort of stuff, and then they go into a different sport.
And so every primary school in Australia does an athletics carnival, whereas that probably drops off a bit in secondary school, Croaks.
Yeah, yep.
Like, so it's like something that's like, yeah, you can do this and be good at it when you go to school sports. But to answer the question for me, Moose, did you make much money?
It's not about the money, mate.
That's why you were there. That's exactly why you were there.
It's about providing good advice to young little runners and athletes. So it's not about that at all.
Did you wear your own split shorts down there?
No, I didn't. But I did see a few parents getting around in the 2-inch splitties. Looked real awkward.
Do you want
wore his Aussie kit?
Do you want a way to make some money at Little Ats, Moose? Because I saw a fantastic money maker today. I went to the regional athletics primary school championships in Bendigo. We took the kids from Echuca down that qualified. And when they walk in there, there's a guy who's got a table set up. Never seen this before. And they're selling hoodies to the people who are there on the day because they've made it to regionals. So it's like school sport, Victoria, regional championships. And all the kids...
You've seen that before, bro?
I've seen it for state championships, but like a region. I've never seen it for region before. And all the kids are just pulling out cash. Yep, my size is there. They sold out in the day. You could only do online orders because all the kids then wear it to school and flex on the other kids who haven't made it the next couple of weeks. But regionals was never a thing, was it? Like Team Vic gear was a thing, but regionals...
Yeah, that's very good, isn't it?
Whoever's getting that money is making...
What you're doing. exactly.
Though there's some parents that say you got to medal at regionals to get a jumper. I was trying to get a bit of a feed on some of the parents. I'm like, do you just buy your kids one of these straight away? And they're like, well, if they get on the podium today, we'll buy them one, but we're not buying them one until maybe if they get to state. But then other parents, it's like, yep, they've got to this level, we're getting them a jumper.
No, that is a good plan. They have list all the schools there or something, or is it?
No, I think it's really generic. So I reckon there'd be like 10 different regions in Victoria that have their championships before then they go to the state championships. And then I guess they buy the state championships merch as well.
Yeah, very good.
Whoever's making the coin out of that would be making a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe set up some bootleg ones of those and set them up down there.
Good idea, that.
Entrepreneur.
Sunday morning, I'll move on.
You will. Sorry.
Sunday, no, that's all right. We've got to get through it, mate. We're talking about little athletics too much. Toby came down. He had a workout to do. He came to Anglesea, and his workout was 30K through the hills, and then 3 sets of 2K at 3:10, 90-second standing rest, 1K at 3 minutes, 60-second rest. So my plan through the week was to do his workout with him. So I just I went out on the bike with him for the first, well, it says 22 for me, but I left early so I could go get changed into my running stuff. So we went out through the hills behind Anglesea and Airies Inlet, and he was moving pretty good. Dropped me on a few hills as he was running up them, and I was on the bike, and poor old Hannahs, who came with us on his dodgy old mountain bike, he was left off the back pretty early. And then we got to the workout, so I jogged a little bit, just a 15-minute warm-up. I ran out to him as he was coming in from his run, and I was going to warm up with him. And then I got to him, turned around, and within about 10 seconds, he was 25 metres in front of me, running like 350s. And this was just me straight off the bike, jelly legs, quads were pretty sore, and I was running about 520s. So I decided to just warm up by myself. So I met him back at the car, and I had to go in and out with him, so I couldn't do that full workout. I decided to just pretty much jump in when I could. So in the first K I did with him, we ran 3:13. Then I just jogged back as he came towards me and jumped in for the last section of his first 2K. Then I did 2 minutes of his next K. That was at just under 3 minute K pace. Then I did a K with him on the next rep. In the end, he started to struggle in the last rep, basically. We didn't really get down to that 3 minute Ks, but it was good to join him for a workout. I was challenged by the pace for sure, and so I couldn't do the whole workout, which was a shame. I would have liked to be able to complete that, but I knew if I had have gone the first set or first set and a half and smashed myself, I wouldn't be able to finish, and it would have just been a bit dumb. So I decided to get a little bit of benefit for me and still help him towards the end. So that was the week.
He's an impressive follow on Strava at the moment, Toby. Did you ask him about Road to Valencia? Wednesday nights, joining the gang?
Yeah, well, I warned you about him.
Yeah, but I disagree. I think he's a good talker. I think he can hold a spot on that show.
I'll tell you who I feel sorry for at the moment is Ellie Pashley. How is Ellie Pashley going to get back to being coach's favourite athlete?
I can't believe this.
She's got her work cut out for her, I tell you.
She has to do the work.
Does he drive there, Moose? Does he drive down just to train with you? There. How long does it take him?
That's 90 minutes.
90 minutes just to train with Moose. It's dedication.
He's got a group down here. He's got mates down here.
It's love both ways, though, isn't it, Croaks? Which I like.
I'll tell you what, keep treating Ellie like this, and she'll be bloody coached by Run to PB soon.
She will be. She's welcome. She can be a coach at Run to PB, actually. The Run to PB boys were thinking about buying Run Strong the other day, actually. I just said, boys, settle down. Can't go bloody buying all these businesses.
Oh, let's talk later, Brady. I've actually had a few offers. I can give you a price on it.
Put a couple of big dogs together in Australian distance running online coaching.
Oh, no, we want no part of that.
We'll just buy her out. Anyway, that's a conversation for off air. Yeah, no, he's going all right, Tobe. So did he say yes or no for Road to Valencia? Because I've got to put that panel together by Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday night.
Do it, yeah.
Well,
yeah, no, let's do it. He was actually quite upset with how he's being portrayed on this podcast.
Well, that's you. You're the one that's saying that he
all
can't
I do
talk.
is talk him up on it, yeah.
You know, the best thing about the podcast is no one's there to defend themselves.
Yeah.
So they're listening to this on a run out in the middle of the bush just fuming because they can't actually get back. Can't get back at you.
Like me listening to the live show last week.
It's the best, isn't it? Because maybe like a few days later you'll cop a message and go, what the fuck was that all about?
And he's running along like, change topic, boys, change topics. I'll change topic for you, Toby, because we're going to be talking to you Wednesday night potentially. Tell you about my week, fellas. Oh, actually, did Toby come off Sunday at the Melbourne Marathon sore, Moose? Because I did. I was a bit sore Monday.
He said he was fine, but it was... no, he was fine.
Okay. Yeah, I was a bit sore. First couple of Ks on Monday morning, I was like, ooh. Because I think I probably... My run on Sunday was actually a bit harder. Well, that was 2.5 hours. I spent 3 minutes talking to people on the side of the road. So it was really a 2:27 marathon that I'd kind of ran. And you talking me into going hard that last 7K probably didn't help. Like, I'd probably never give what I did to myself on Sunday as a workout. So I was like, I've got to respect this and actually just take a few easy days here. Because I did have a workout plan for the Wednesday. But I'm like, nah, I feel a bit sore on the Monday. Just did half an hour. Didn't do an afternoon run because I was a bit sore and I was just sleepy, just tired after the weekend away in Melbourne, the early starts, daylight savings changes, those kind of things. Tuesday I felt much better. I did 70 minutes at 4:32s, and then in the afternoon did 8K, 4:33s. And then Wednesday was the day I had the workout planned, and I probably could have done it, but I just thought, nah, it's too much like risk versus reward. 8.5 weeks out, 72 hours after a pretty solid like Sunday. I just thought I'll just scrap the workout I was planning to do. And I just did those hill reps, what we were talking about last week. Just did 10 by 1 minutes up the bridge ramp of the new bridge. Still not massive elevation. I really want to do this one day. You know when Strava uploads it and it doesn't show you the pace, it shows you your elevation instead? I'm still not getting that. You know what I mean by that?
What,
No.
No.
You know when you do a really hilly run, Strava will, like their Strava post won't say your pace. Instead, it will show you elevation because they think the elevation's more impressive than the pace.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, surely this is going to give me an elevation thing, but it didn't. But I was doing about, I don't know how many meters per 1 minute. Actually, it tells me
10
yeah,
meters.
About 10.
You're doing basically 10 meters in 300 meters.
Is that enough, fellas?
Well, it's 3 and a bit percent.
That's not much.
It shows the gap's pretty solid though, doesn't it? 2:48 pace for a minute, the gap. But that's the best I can get around here. That's the only option I've got. But yeah.
But that doesn't seem like very hilly. If you compare it to a hill in Melbourne.
I don't know Melbourne hills that well. Like definitely not Anderson Street.
Not that hilly.
Half of Anderson Street? Maybe.
Oh, the same steepness, or
What about running up the other? What about going up the other way, like toward like the Melbourne Marathon, like Melbourne Marathon hill?
Oh yeah, similar to that. Maybe like Balti Bridge Hill, but not as steep. Like, but that kind of like just a long burner. Yeah.
That's all right.
Anyway, I'm getting some kind of thing there. I was yeah, not hurting, but I knew I was working. It was a real like basic kind of session. So that was Wednesday. Got out for I was pissing down rain the whole time. That one as well. Just got hammered in the rain, and it was pretty windy. Real tough man conditions out there. Got out for 8K in the afternoon in the rain again. Thursday, got out for 2 hours. 9:55 I went. My mum came over and looked after the couple of kids while I went out for this 2 hours. This was the first week back where I've changed my work days and Carly's gone back to work Thursday, Friday. So a few different routine changes. So I got out for 2 hours, 4:08. Listened to you and Christian Moose on the road to Berlin. That was good. Got me through the first hour.
what do you reckon of the plans they have?
Well, you didn't kind of say what the plan was in the end, did you?
He didn't tell me, did he?
He didn't, no. It was a bit, yeah. You guys talked about it and discussed it all, and then no kind of, announcement was made. So I'll talk to him Wednesday night, and we'll see if we can get something out of him. in the afternoon, I listened to Danger Mouse Cheat Codes. You listen to that album, Moose?
Oh, yes.
How good is
I
it?
have.
That's very good,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
very good, actually. Very good.
It's got better the more I listen to it. I think it was Joe Wood who, on my Strava comment, told me to listen to that a few weeks ago. And thanks for that recommendation if it was you, Joe. Very easy listen. Then Friday, I got out for 8K in the morning, 4:29s, and then 16K in the afternoon. I don't like afternoon runs that are longer than like 30 minutes, but we got it done. Listened to our Coffee Club, Emma Bates on there. And one thing she talked about on that show was I don't know, I'm not sure which way I go with this decision, but she said that she thinks winning a World Marathon major is more impressive than winning an Olympic gold medal in the marathon, because in the Olympics you can only race against 3 people per country. Thoughts, boys?
Disagree.
Yeah, I disagreed initially, but then I'm like, maybe she has a point. Like, there could be 5 or 6 Kenyans in a World Marathon major.
It's a similar argument for World Cross, that World Cross is probably the hardest distance global medal to win because you have like 6 from each country.
Yeah, well, my argument would be that there's not just one World Marathon major. Because look at Chicago, like it's got a split between Chicago, Berlin, London, New York are all in these next 4 weeks. So yes, you can have more than one Kenyan, but they're not all rocking up to the same one.
And
you know what I mean?
You're getting the top, like on paper and in theory, and pretty much in reality, you're getting the top 3 from each country. You're competing at those games, at the Olympics. No one dodges an Olympics.
What about?
No one's picking world majors over Olympics.
I would take an Olympic gold over winning a major.
Yeah. What about? I'd say she's correct if she replaced the Olympics with World Championships. A World Marathon major is harder to win. Is harder to win than a World Championships marathon.
I still disagree because these majors, like, they have sponsors, and the sponsors get to influence who gets invitations to the races. Some of the races aren't paying the fees. Say like Kipchoge, his fee might be $1 million to race at New York, and New York says, no, we ain't paying that. Well, then there's no Kipchoge, right? And they've got a certain budget, and when their budget expires, you're losing them. It's not just you're losing all the people that can show up. So it's all. I don't agree
with World Champs. But World Champs got no budget.
I think no. Well, that's what I mean. I think World Champs still has more prestige and elite field than picking one world major.
Okay, it's good to discuss it. Saturday, got out and did some strides in about an hour 20. Listened to that Swedish running podcast that Christian's always banging on about, the Cam Evans interview. You know the one. You listen to that, boys?
Oh yeah.
No.
It's pretty good. It's worth a listen. And Zaka was telling me, because the host of it, they call him Jesus because he's got super long hair, because he's not going to cut his hair until he breaks 14 minutes of 5K, which I thought was pretty cool. So that's his nickname. So Jesus was interviewing Cam Evans.
Hope he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, I think he's been growing it for a while. I think he's around 14:20. So he's got a bit still, not a bit to take off, but it's a decent jump from 14:20 to 14 flat. So good luck to Jesus. He supposedly listens to a couple of our episodes too. So that's good to know. Got out for 8K in the afternoon Saturday. Sunday, we had the local fun run on, Sweat versus Steam, the one where we raced the paddle steamer boys. I know you like this fun run. Poor guys organising this race. They the first course, the course they usually do, the Murray River flooded. So it went over part of the course. So they had to go to course B, which went along the Campaspe River. And then Saturday morning, the Campaspe River flooded. So then they had to go to course C, which was just pretty much like, kind of like up and down this 5K like loop around town. A lot of turns in it. So I did 24K solo at about 4-minute K pace before the race started. Then chucked my race shoes on and then, lined up on the start line for the race. A guy from Ballarat was there, Moose, AJ Beer, his name is. I actually didn't see him on the start line. I had a bit of a look around. I thought, this is good. I can probably hover around, 315s, 320s and win this thing pretty easy. Gun goes. I thought I'll just fang the first 600 or 700 metres just to try and get rid of everyone at about 305 pace. He stuck with me. which got me a bit concerned because I wasn't feeling great with 24k in my legs. And then he went to the front, kind of pushed the pace for the first, I'm going to say 4.5, 5k. And then I thought I'll just put in a bit of a surge 5k into the race to see how he's feeling, test him out a bit. And he dropped off there, but he was still pretty tough. I probably put 45, 50 seconds into him in the last 4k. Got the win, which was nice on the home soil. Got to give Hudson a high five coming down the home straight there. And then spoke to AJ afterwards, and he ran a 5k PB through the first 5k of the course. So he was pretty happy with his run. I ran 32.12. He ran, just over 33. And then a couple of k's cool down to get like a 36.2k morning in. And good to race on home turf. Rarely get to do it. Good to take the win against the paddle stand, my boys.
He's up and about his sweat versus steam victory.
Good for the sponsors, this.
He'd take that over a World Marathon Major, I think.
I reckon I would. Do you know how many I've won, Croaks? How many of these things do you reckon I've won? Moose, want to have a guess at
it? 6.
11, boys. 11. 11 from 11 starts. I'm so shattered COVID happened.
I don't know if that's good or sad.
So shattered that COVID happened because it would have been 13 if they didn't have to cancel it for 2 years there. But anyway.
Why don't you program Archie for one?
Archie's going to Valencia next weekend. So
doesn't give Stoat a run in these, does he?
Stoat's recovering off Melbourne. So, those boys...
Everyone's racing everywhere else.
The big boys go to big races. Little small guys like me go to the small town races. So
he has a look at the calendar, and all of his local athletes that he coaches, he sends 3 hours down the road.
We'll send a few here. Anyway, it was a good week, boys. Got 174k out, which was a bit lower than what it has been the last couple of weeks, but full recovery day Monday kind of thing, and back to work. Hurt me trying to get to 200k a week. But anyway, 8 weeks to Valencia. We'll see what happens next. Shall we thank some Patreon supporters? You guys want to kick that off, and I might see if I can get Reece Edwards on the line. Do you want to go first, Croaks?
Yeah. So I got Joshua Nishitani this week. Joshua lives in Auckland. He's in New Zealand, that is. He's a postgraduate student in clinical exercise physiology at the University of Auckland, and he's also a retail assistant at Shoe Clinic. So another guy that loves his shoes, like the Big Moose. I've got some pretty solid PBs. These are all done on the track. 9:24 for 3K, 16:14 for 5K, 34:57 for the 10. He did Auckland half in 2020 in 78:48. Unfortunately, I think he got a stressy late August, and he's just coming back from that. Has a couple of interesting photos on Strava. He's got one of a 20-year-old Henrik Ingebrigtsen and an 11-year-old Jakob Ingebrigtsen lining up for a race together in matching bodysuits, and another one of Ollie Hall with a beard. It's a pretty cool photo, actually. Imagine that. So 20-year-old Henrik, 11-year-old Jakob, and they've got matching these green bodysuits. It's pretty cool. So thanks for your support, Joshua.
Who you got, Moose?
All right. I got Luke Burton. So Luke is from Mornington in Victoria. Looks like he's played some Australian rules football, not AF. You reckon he was in the AFL?
No, he just plays AFL, like just plays Australian, Aussie rules.
We get to blame Brad from now on for these. He's the Strava stalker. Ran 94 at this year's Melbourne Half Marathon, 2-minute PB, very good. Other PBs, 5K, 18:53 Marriott Waters Park Run. We claim it. I don't know about this park run PBs. I don't think they're official. 10K, 39:44 Marathon, 3:24, 2021 Melbourne. Only averaged 10K a week on Strava for the last 4 weeks. So that was a serious taper and recovery for his half marathon. Total of 350 for the year. Low mileage bloke, Luke. Impressive running off very little running.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. I'm going to thank Mike Kendig from Sydney. Not a lot of running results on Strava, but did run 34:56 at this year's Sydney Harbour 10K. Well, he's in shape then. He must be doing some kind of running if he can run 34:56. Has recently become a dad, so didn't run in August or September. Back into it now. I love that. I love when people just have breaks when their kids arrive. That's good. Smart bloke. Chancellor's postdoctoral research fellow at UTS. Whatever that means, sounds something pretty smart. He's interested in the relationship between the foods we eat and the cognitive function. His research uses animal models to investigate the short and long-term effect of diets high in fat and sugar on behavioural and cognitive tasks. Jeez, there's some high IQ people in our patrons. What was that today? Well, you had a postgraduate clinical exercise physiologist too, Croaks.
Yep, postgraduate student. Yep. So
thank you for their support. That's what they're smart people support our show. Maybe that's a motto we can go with. Be a smart person.
Correlation.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes you smart.
Maybe it does. Maybe they started listening to us and got smart after that. Who should reckon?
Hey, Brady, notice how this week there's no maybe this, maybe that with the patrons?
Oh, mate, you haven't put any run. So, yeah, to let people know, Croaks is doing the show notes for the next couple of weeks. And I've never seen this much detail about our Patreon supporters. And then a real lack of detail in the running results. So the patrons are really looking good here. So that's that's very thorough.
Running results in there.
I had to put half them in there though, Croaks, I reckon. Half the ones you missed. But anyway, you did a pretty good job here. That's very thorough. Well done. Congratulations. I think I do have our guest here, fellas. Trying to get him in the call. I think I've got him. Just let me give him a bit of an intro. We're hopefully talking to Reece Edwards, who last week ran finished third position at the Melbourne Nike Marathon in 2:14:41. Pretty impressive run from Reece because he went out in 65. And the most impressive thing about Reece this week, I thought, was he jumped straight back into training. So I've got you there, Reece Edwards. Welcome to the Inside Run podcast. Thanks for giving some time up.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all, mate. I was just a bit concerned. Your initials up here on Skype come up as LI. And I'm like, oh, maybe I've called the wrong person, but it's good to hear your voice. How are you recovering? What's been happening since this time last week?
Yeah, like you said, I got back into training because I'm actually preparing to do UTA 100. So I jumped on the trails on Saturday and I'm actually a lot more sore from that than I was the marathon.
Well, you didn't just jump on the trail.
You don't think it was still the marathon?
My legs weren't great after the marathon. It's probably accumulation, a bit of both.
I will just whip through your Strava, Reece. We do that on its podcast a bit. So Melbourne Marathon the Sunday. I think on the Monday you got out for 21k at 4:30 pace. The Tuesday, 18k.
No, Brady, we've got to stop there. The man's run for 2:14 and then gone out for 21k the next day.
Yeah, he's a machine. Listen to the whole week, Moose. So Tuesday, 18k. Wednesday, 21k again. Thursday, 18k. Friday, 16k. And then Saturday, 42.7k on the trails with 2,281 metres elevation gain. So he was out there for 4 hours. So he didn't just get out on the trails. And then Sunday, the day of the Sabbath, where the Catholics like to rest, he got out for 25k. For a week of 164k, the week after a 2:14. So it's pretty impressive, Reece, what you're doing.
Yeah, so to put a bit of context into that, like I know it's silly, and if I was training for like a fast event, would not do anything like that. But one of the things I do is I use running as like that's my commute home. So like instead of catching a train or worrying about parking in a city, I purely just put my bag on. And I work at Epworth Healthcare, and they have a clinic out at Brighton. So all of a sudden, my commute home was 21 kilometres instead of could have been 7k if I was in a different hospital.
Yeah, and you're still doing physio stuff, Reece?
Yeah, yep. So I'm working within Epworth Hospitals as a physio.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, one thing we haven't mentioned though was Melbourne came 2 weeks after you ran 2:17 in Sydney, which is not, it's not the super quickest course. But the one thing that's always fascinated me, Reece, like we used to do a bit of running in Canberra, is just your ability to recover. Like after Sydney, like do you pull up sore, or after Melbourne, like how do you not pull up sore from a marathon?
So I definitely pull up like sore, but I guess I'm not overly sore. You're right. So most of the time I could session pretty good on, say, a Wednesday. I think the silliest thing I've ever done was in London after I ran my 2:13 at Rotterdam. 2 days later, I went and did my squad session over in London, and I think we're running 1K reps at 2:55. And to be fair, I've never probably run 1K reps that good in my life. So for some reason, I respond really. I don't know. I just don't have that same soreness maybe as the average person. I don't know why.
It's a good skill to have. Reece, take us back to the marathon last week. You went out 65 with that lead pack. Stream quality, we didn't see a lot of you. But yeah, so tell us, when did you drop from the Kenyan guys? And then were you hurting in the last half there?
Yeah, so at the start line, like I was 50-50 on what I was going to do. Tim Crosby kind of said, hey, the Kenyan fellas are going out at 64, don't go with them. And then they ended up going out really conservative. And the first 5K, I know the markers may have been off. I never looked at my splits, so I was going off their markers. But I think we went through 5K in about 16, maybe 16:05. And at that point, I was really comfortable with them. And that's when I was just like, I'm 100% just committing with these guys for as long as possible. And they were just slowly winding it up. And just as we hit, you could just see the halfway banner ahead of us. And I was still actually feeling really comfortable. And then two of the Kenyans said to one another, they said, they were just saying, we must go quicker, we're slipping off pace. They started running. It was like 5-6 seconds per kilometre quicker. And at that time, I knew I'd gone out way too quick for my capabilities. But at the same time, I've been in that situation now about 5 times. So I knew I knew I could get to the finish line if I didn't fade too much. And overall, I was hurting, I'm not going to lie. And the tan absolutely destroyed me. But I've done marathons like Rotterdam when I ran my PB. I hurt a lot more in the second half. So the solo second bit, I was kind of just running almost like a tempo feeling more so than like race pace.
You said to me afterwards that you thought this run was better than Rotterdam. Even though it wasn't as quick, you thought like the execution and I guess maybe the difference in the course, that this was worth a quicker time?
Maybe not so much the execution. It was probably more so my build-up into this one. Before Rotterdam, I'd actually been at altitude. I had my legs up for like a couple of days beforehand, whereas this time around, I've just been, running home from work. So I think it was more my build-up. I didn't expect to be within a minute 20 of my PB at all. And, of course, on the course, being slower, spending half the race by myself. Like Rotterdam, I had people around me to 35, 36K. So when I say it's my best marathon, I think it's like if you put all aspects together between how I train, my build-up, working. Like I worked a full day on the Friday, up on my feet all day. So I think it was kind of more of an approach like that. That's why I do think it's nearly one of my best ones. On the day, maybe I didn't execute it the best, but I think it was still a really good run.
Yeah, I thought it was a real outlier for your season, to be honest. Like you've pretty much done, I think you've maybe done all the AV races minus Gels Park in the first round and then maybe the Tan Relays in the last round. And you've been solid, but I didn't think you were kind of in that 213, 214 shape, and then you've come out and absolutely smacked this. So is that just like because you're training through heavy load when you're doing the AV races over winter, or you think you turned a bit of a page in the last couple of weeks?
No, I think I never turned up to a single AV race fresh, and maybe Albert Park I tapered in a little bit because I was hoping to go quicker there. But most of the AV races, they were part of 160K weeks. I was still sessioning probably on the Thursday, probably running nearly 20Ks on the Friday and then running AV on the Saturday. So I was definitely turning up with heavy legs, and it was all in mind that I was going to run Sydney and Melbourne marathons. But I still think I have come into shape as the year has progressed.
Yeah.
Hey, Reece, do you reckon running Sydney Marathon 2 weeks before cost you some time out in Melbourne?
No, absolutely not. So I actually think my training, the one thing I lacked in my training was I didn't do heaps of real long, as many long and fast sessions or long runs as I would have liked. So I think running Sydney, in Sydney, as soon as I knew I was going to be running most of it solo or the entire race solo, I wasn't ever running completely flat out. In Sydney, I was trying to tone it back a little bit. So I think I got a lot of benefit from Sydney for Melbourne.
Hey, Reece, back in... Oh, Moose, you go. I've asked heaps of questions.
Yeah. Talk us through this trail stuff, mate. you obviously like it. I know you went and did Tarawera 1 year. I remember that because Watto was over there for that race. And then you did that Berry long run, like 70K, which at the time, I don't think any of those crew realised what they were seeing in that race. You obviously love going longer, love going up and down hills.
Yes, the Berry long run was pretty funny. So I got to the finish line and the organisers they seemed pretty suspicious, I think, initially. And they're kind of like, Dion might have had the course record, and they're kind of like, oh, you've gone half an hour quicker than the course record. I was like, no, I promise, I did the whole course. Like, I can run. Like, you can Google my results if you like.
You're 6 or 7 minutes quicker over the marathon.
Yeah.
Here's my Strava.
Yeah. So I think eventually I still don't know if they really know my accolades or anything like that. But yeah, the trail stuff, it's kind of, I feel like I'm in an awkward position with my ability because I feel like I've overachieved at the marathon. Like my marathon is an outlier compared to my short abilities. I don't know how much more I can get out of the marathon. Maybe if the stars aligned, I could become, a 2:12 type guy. But, that's what's that going to achieve at the end of the day. And I love a bit of adventure. I love getting out there. So I've always thought that it'd be nice to do some of this long trail stuff while still feeling like I've got some speed in the legs.
Well, what do you want to do with it? Like, what's the goal with the trail stuff? Where do you see yourself?
Well, it's hard where I see myself. Until I do UTA, I could go to UTA and have the worst day of my life, which is probably highly likely, and just never walk on another trail again in my entire life.
When is it?
It's in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So there's a possibility that would happen. But, I mean, if everything went perfectly, I'd like to be that Australian guy that can turn up at UTMB, Western States, and Australia can have a genuine guy that, is challenging for the podiums at those types of events. But I might be completely unrealistic there.
That's exciting, though. That's exciting. Hey, Reece, moved to Melbourne. I know we spoke at the start of the year about you were trying to find some training partners. There's a lot of pro athletes, I guess, there that don't have to train around work. How have you managed the Melbourne scene, and have you enjoyed the AV season down here? We kind of take a lot of pride in that Victorian winter.
Yeah, so Melbourne running, the one thing I've learned with Melbourne running is too professional for me. So everyone just trains at like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and Friday mornings or Wednesday mornings or whenever they train. It's during work hours, which is something I didn't encounter in London. I was fortunate enough in London to have a squad of blue-collar guys who can run 28 minutes for 10K to 11 for marathons, who were happy to train at 7 p.m. at night. So that has been a struggle in Melbourne. So I've been doing everything completely solo since I've been here. But AV has absolutely saved me, and I put all my results in these last 2 marathons to AV because having a race every 2 weeks, that was like, my real hard workout. So I've really loved being part of AV, and I love just turning up and, I'm never going to win any of those races, but you just go out and smash yourself every 2 weeks and you're getting a hard workout. It's so good.
Have you heard from Geelong Cats? They're trying to do some recruitment for next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they've hit you up in this trade period.
See
How
what they
did you
can
sign
offer.
up with is that a bit of cash in your pocket there? St Stephens?
$0.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You were carrying the team throughout the winter too. You'd think some of they're regulars, but you were kind of the star of the show, the new guy they'd brought in for the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but I had no idea what AV was going on. Then I was moving down to Melbourne. I stopped in at Canberra, and one of the fellas I know in Canberra, Alan Craigie, his brother Kevin, he's part of St Stephens. So I caught up with Alan for a coffee, and he goes, "Oh, who are you running with in Victoria?" I was like, "I don't know." And he goes, "Oh, I'll message my brother." So that's how St Stephens came about.
We'll chat later.
Are you happy there? You're committed to him for 2023?
I've had a great time. They're a really good group of people, so it'd take a lot to drag me away. I'm a loyal man, so I think I'll be bleeding red, white, and blue whilst I'm in Victoria.
Oh,
Doesn't sound good, Moose. Good.
He hasn't seen the offer yet.
Any other questions for him, boys? What date's UTA?
UTA, it's the Saturday, maybe the Saturday of October 28th, 29th. I'm not sure the exact date.
Okay, going to roll around quick.
Any chance it gets washed out with all the rain they're having? Have you heard any updates?
Honestly, I haven't been following it at all. I've kind of just going to change to that mindset this way. I've got to organise some mandatory gear and stuff. I'm not sure. The weather sounds like it's been pretty bad. So, I mean, if it got washed out, to be honest, I wouldn't mind too much.
Hey, Reece, just quickly, like this long stuff, because I think you told me when we used to run together that, because, you used to do lots of other sports. Did you play hockey? And then I think you told me you used to go out for these massive long rides back at home until you basically bonked. Like you've always been a bit of a, I guess, an endurance guy. Like, does that help you now with these longer events?
Yeah, so you're right. So, like, I remember at 18 years of age, I rode 500 kilometres non-stop on a bike. I think it's
why?
Because
it could.
Man, I don't know. When I was 18, I think I liked bikes more than girls. So I used to spend all my time on bikes back then. I don't know. I just was always fascinated to it all came from cycling. I went through a 3-year period where I just would go out every Saturday. I would get up at 3:30 in the morning and just ride for 8 hours, 200 kilometres type thing. I think I got to a point where I could do it on about maybe 2 gels and a bottle of Coke. I could ride for 8 hours. So I felt like when I first started cycling, I would have to have a gel. Like, if I went for a 2-hour ride, I'd feel myself bonk without a gel. And I got to the point where I could ride probably 6 hours and not bonk. So I think having that at a relatively young age, doing that silly stuff, I think it's definitely helped like build this big capacity for marathons.
Mm. What do you do? What do you take in the marathon now? Do you do full nutrition and stuff?
Yeah, so that's changed a lot. So when we did BWA, I had no idea what I was doing. I think I had like electrolyte tabs or something. I didn't even really have anything in BWA. But so I put Morton bottles out and I try to do it properly. So every 5Ks I'll have like a mouthful of Morton.
Yeah.
Just a mouthful.
Just a mouthful. Don't overdo it.
Try to do it properly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because if you overdrink, that's when I feel like I get stomach cramps and have issues. So, I probably underfuel, but yeah, I just do a mouthful. Okay. Like maybe a mouthful and a half.
I'm getting lots of blue collar vibes, Reece. Just you're a throwback to the 70s, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, shame I can't run like the boys in the 70s. That'd be the dream, wouldn't it? I'd love to be able to run sub 2:10, but it's never going to happen.
It might if you give away this fucking trail stuff, mate.
Yeah. Like I said, mate, let me have one bad race on the trails and I think that I'll be done.
No, I think this is the future. Because you think about it, Moose, if he can convert this to the trails, this is like contract fans,
he could be our best
Instagram
man.
followers. Like this is his a name in the sport all of a sudden. But you kind of at that mark, running 2:13, 2:14, when it's like hard to make a team with that. If you do make a team, do people even know you? Do you get any sponsors? Like, I think this could be the one.
Yeah. Sorry, you're exactly right. Because like a 2:13 guy is 2:12 guy. Even to be honest, a 2:11 guy, even 2:10 now, is absolutely nothing. Like you're going to need to run, 2:09:30 if you want to make a team. I'm never going to make a team. Those boys are so much more, they're more disciplined. They're willing to put more into their running. They've just been doing it for longer and things like that. So I'm never going to make a team. So I'm just in that awkward spot where do I commit the next 5 years of my life just to say, hey, I run 2:12 to 11, or do I do something completely, silly and, that might be a bit crazier, but, I can still maybe run 2:12 in the future and travel, to some cool locations.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's good. You could do well out there, I reckon. I reckon you got the setup for it. You're just dumb enough to be good at it.
You're right.
He's a physio.
I take that as a compliment, mate.
You're a good man, Reece.
You know how smart you have to be a physio?
Yeah. Oh, not very.
Okay, I always thought it was. Any more questions for him, boys, before we let him go?
No, just thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate you giving up some time.
Yeah, you're a legend, mate. All the best, because it's all the best with the recovery plus the build towards UTA.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Thanks for doing everything you do for the sport of running. Cheers.
Oh, thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
thanks.
Talk to you soon. Catch you, mate.
Yeah.
This month's episode is proudly sponsored by ASICS. The Jalciano Light 3 shoe features flight foam cushioning with added emphasis on the forefoot to provide comfort and create faster transitions in your stride for a lightweight, stable feel. It also features a new unique midsole construction that provides lightweight cushioning and reliable stability. The Jalciano Light 3 recycled mesh upper is kinder to the planet with at least 70% of the shoe's upper made with recycled polyester materials by weight. Visit asics.com.au to grab your pair today. All right, boys, we're on to some running news now. We got the Chicago Marathon that happened in the early hours, didn't it? Was it 10 p.m?
It was about 11. Oh, it was a bit later than that. I reckon like 11:30.
You guys didn't stay up for it, did you?
No, but I woke up at like 3:30 and I couldn't help myself. I did pull out the phone to check the results.
Oh, did you get back to sleep okay?
I struggled a little bit.
Yeah, I thought about it when I also woke up at about 2:30 and I'm like, don't check, just go back to sleep. We'll talk about the Aussie there first. Pat Tiernan, he was 16th in 2:11.02, went through halfway in 64.35, and then faded a bit the last 7Ks, was kind of running 3:15, 3:18 pace for the last 7K. Puts him the second fastest debut ever behind Jeff Hunt, who ran 2:11.00, and just in front of Jack Rayner, who ran 2:11.06. So, boys, what did you make of Pat Tiernan's race first up?
Well, I didn't watch it, so I didn't see any footage of him. All I see is splits right now, and I mean it looks like he went out for it, and he's learning the marathon. That's pretty much what this is. Like we know that most people from what I looked at back when I looked at the ladies, our top I think it was our top 10 ladies, the average of their best marathon was number 5 or 6 that they run. So a debut, I wasn't expecting him to break 2:10. I predicted 2:11 flat to our group, not this group, another group.
Oh, he's done it again, Crooks. Another private accurate prediction.
Moose is the type of guy that the lotto numbers come out on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning he says, "Boys, I had all of those. I just didn't put a ticket in."
Watches the Melbourne Cup the next day. That was the horse I was going to back.
Sports bet, open me up. Nah, 2:11 was it. That was what I reckon.
I literally asked you before I went to bed, what's he going to run? And you did not write in our group 2:11.
I know. He said over 2:10 though.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't mean 2:11.
Yeah.
I'll send you the message. I'll screenshot it anyway. It's rare to see that. Well, we've never seen something under 2:11 on debut. So I just went with the odds. But he's obviously trained well. I saw a few little quotes about his training. You posted that in the group, Brady.
The Athletes Australia article, if people want to check that out. Sounded like you went in well prepared.
Yeah, suggested he'd done the specific work for it. But again, learning. I spoke to someone else who ran their first marathon on the weekend back at Melbourne, and they pretty much said, I had no idea what I was supposed to feel like at 20K or 25K, 30K. I don't know if this was too hard, if I'm supposed to feel better than this, when am I allowed to start pushing? And these are the same things that elite professional runners have to learn themselves as well.
Craig, any comments there?
Well, just for your first marathon, you probably never get that close to the fire in training that you're ever going to feel what it feels like in that last 6-7K. And, that's pretty much what Pat's got now. So he knows what that's like. But I have no doubt, he'll break 2:10. Possibly next time he runs one. You get a lot of feel for the pace you have to try and run on race day, but you never feel what it feels like past 30K in the actual race. Benson Kipruto, he won 2:04.24. Sefu Abiwok Tura from Ethiopia was second in 2:04.49, and John Korea from Kenya was third in 2:05.01. So some quick times up front. Beautiful weather by the sounds of things. Maybe a bit of a tailwind early. Connor Mance, he ran the second fastest debut by an American in 2:08.16. He's just young too, isn't he? Maybe first year out of college, first year pro. I think he was at college for a while though, so I think he's 25, 26. So still not old for a marathoner, but he's bloody strong, isn't he?
What,
like
he just kept failing subjects at uni or something, did he?
No, I think because of COVID they allowed people to have longer time at college.
Conor Mance, wasn't he BYU?
Yeah.
So those guys go on missions as well. So they're allowed like a 2-year mission where they go over to Africa or whatever. And it doesn't count towards their eligibility, so that they can come back 2 years older than a lot of other of their competitors.
Did he do that?
But they can. I'm pretty sure he did.
And he's been running big because they also don't train on a Sunday. They always have one day off a week, and he's been running massive miles, but those miles have been in 6 days a week.
And
he's
a known killer at cross country too, which generally converts pretty good. Is he on Strava, Croaks? Do you know where you're getting this mileage stuff from?
Oh, I've just heard like stories and interviews where he's been running, I don't know, like 200k a week or 180k a week in 6 days, sort of thing. Like
he's got it all on Strava.
He's a high mileage. He's a high mileage guy.
He said he hit the wall at 25.2 miles yesterday, but still finished well.
Yeah, don't quote me that he went to those missions. That just can't happen.
Yeah, okay. Just cover that. Story of the day though was the women's race. This was I just went through Twitter this morning and was just playing some of the commentary back. Ruth Chepngetich from Kenya, the world champ, I think, Moose, when you were at Doha. Then she was second at the Olympics. She ran 2:14.18, second fastest time in history. She went through the first half in 65:44. I think she was ahead of Pat Tiernan for like the first 5k maybe. I saw a tweet from Kyle Merber. She went through 5k in 15:11, and then
Jesus.
Yeah, she was flying. Emily Sisson was second. She broke the US record in 2:18.29, and her splits were amazing actually. If you want to look through her 5k splits, check that out for sure. She got it right. And third was Vivian Gerono Kiplagat from Kenya in 2:20.52. So fast on the women's side as well. 2:14.18. That is.
She would have broken. I reckon she would have broken the world record had her pacing been a little bit better. Because she was only like the world record's 2:14 low.
I think she was only 4 seconds off, wasn't she?
Maybe a bit more than 4 seconds, but like maybe 10 seconds. But 15:11 through 5k, like that's 2:07 pace, I think. So that's had to have cost us some time at the back end.
Do you reckon she's really banged some time there, though, hasn't she? Like she was on 2:11.30 through half.
Yeah, so you got to think
she only lost 3 minutes.
Yeah,
it's not a bad
but
way
I
to
think
do it.
if she paced it a bit better, she could have broken 2:14.
Yep, that's pretty cool. See Chicago happening, some fast times all around there. Emily Sisson as well, 2:18. What was her PB before that? Do you know?
She had only run a couple of marathons. I think one of them was like the US trials, maybe 2:23 or something.
Yeah, they were talking about that on the same Coffee Club episode with Emma Bates, weren't they?
Yeah.
She'd only run a couple. She's quick over 10k as well. But just the ability to convert. Yeah, she's ran 30:49 for 10k. 67:26 at Valencia in 2020. So, yeah, that's amazing. Anyway, it's good running over there in the States. Take us domestically. Croaks, you're going to tell us something about 40 years since Deeg won the Com Games gold in Brizzy.
Yeah, I thought this was worth mentioning. It was on social media over the weekend. So on Saturday, which was the 8th of October, it was the 40th anniversary of Deek winning the Brisbane Commonwealth Games in 1982. And the only reason I brought it up was, he ran 2:09.18 in Brisbane in the start of October. And as we know, Brisbane's not it's not Berlin weather, it's not Chicago weather, it's still pretty warm and humid. And here we are recently talking about Pat and Brett, and we know how incredible they are. And here's Deek running 2:19 in Brisbane. 2:09.18 in Brisbane, no super shoes and a bit of heat and humidity. So pretty incredible.
It's pretty hilly, that course too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just a very iconic event. I was too young to obviously, I was alive, but I was too young to watch it. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that were inspired by that run.
Yeah, I did see that flicking up. Moose, tell us about these state 10k champs. New South Wales and Queensland had theirs over the weekend.
Yeah, so we'll just do the winners. I think there was torrential rain, so hard conditions. Drew Fryer won the men's 30:43, and in the ladies, Imogen Gribble ran 38:25. And then up in Queensland, is that Queensland below? Yep. Gus Gannon, he's under 20. He won the men's in 30:31. And in the ladies, it was faster than New South Wales, 36:17 from Caitlin McQuilkin-Bell.
There's potentially New Zealand there as well.
She's from New Zealand?
Just thinking that. Anyway, I'm sorry, we've only got those results in front of us here, but maybe she's living up in Queensland, registered for the New Zealand club. Not 100% sure. Shoe review, boys. The ASICS Keanu Light number 3. Massive thanks to ASICS for sending us this shoe to test out. Moose, where's it sit on the wall? Who's this shoe suited for? What do you know about it before we get into our experiences with it?
So we actually did a review on this on Shoe Geek. So if you want to hear Nitter and Tommy and myself discuss it, then head over there. But it's a lighter weight stability shoe from ASICS. It uses a geometry style support system rather than a dual density post. It's got a pretty broad midsole, so when you look down there's a lot of flaring, which is that big footprint. That's what gives it the stability. It uses flight foam, so one density of foam throughout the shoe, which creates like a smoother feel underfoot. I know sometimes like when different shoes layer their foams or use like sections with different densities, then it can feel a little clunkier. Whereas this is one block of foam, which tends to be a smoother transition from foot strike to toe off. It's relatively light. It's not super light, but that's also what makes it more stable, probably, to have that foam there, like that is a little heavier. It's got a pretty strong heel cup. It's 275 grams for men, and the heights, like the stack heights and stuff, aren't accurate from ASICS because they don't include the sole or the like the outer sole or the inner sole, so it could be up there around 30 mil or so, which isn't overly high compared to other shoes. It's 8 mil offset. The big play with this shoe is how sustainable it is, like in terms of how it's manufactured. So 50% of the shoe's upper is made with recycled materials. That's its thing.
Could be a silly question, Moose, but what's the difference between the Keanu and the Keanu Light? Is it just a weight thing?
No, it's a good question.
Okay.
The Keanu still uses like a medial support or like dual density foams, so a higher density foam underfoot to on the medial side to give a little bit more support. It actually uses, like, even the Keanu is changing now to be less controlling, but it's still more shoe, heavier, higher offset, suits maybe a higher mass runner. Keanu Light's perhaps better for someone sort of not as much load going through the shoe. So those footy boys can wear their Keanos, but if they like a lighter feel, then Keanu Light's still there with some resistance for a foot that pronates more.
Yep. Croaks, what have you been thinking about it? Putting some K through it?
Yeah, so I actually wore it today, not for the first time, but wore it today. And I wear this mainly when I feel like my tib post is getting a bit angry. And, a few years back, I used to go and buy a separate pair of shoes for like the stability for my tib post, and they used to just be so clunky. I felt like I was actually like wearing shoe boxes, whereas like these days, like these shoes still have the stability, but for me they're light enough that I can still get rolling. Like, I ran 410s today for my hour and felt like I was moving well, whereas back in the day I'd feel pretty clunky trying to run that in the old stability shoes. So that's what I love about them.
Yeah, it's in my rotation for those easy days as well. And a bit, the other day, Saturday, I had them on. I wasn't feeling great, and I actually thought I was running a lot slower than I was. And then it's what you get home and you're like, oh yeah, that was 4:25s, but it felt like 4:45s. A nice little shoe you can just put on for those easy days. It's in my rotation now for that 60 to 70 minute day, maybe after a workout, maybe the day after a workout before going along again. And yeah, one I'm really enjoying as well. I didn't know all that stuff about the sustainability there, Moose, but that was good to know. And the shoelaces, there's something, I know I just ask you random questions about shoes when they come in here. It's a lot different than Shoe Geeks. Does something different go on with the eyelets here? Like it seems like maybe it's more of that wider footprint. Maybe that's what you're getting at. And then it feels like when I do the shoelaces up, it's wider across the top as well. Am I onto something?
What do you mean wider across the top?
It just feels like where you're doing up the shoelaces, like the shoelaces take up more of the front of or the top of the shoe than they do on other pairs of shoes.
I know what you mean. Like it's a, so the
eyelets is where the shoelaces go through, isn't it?
It's a wider vamp. Is
that what that thing's called?
That area is called a vamp. Yeah.
Oh, here we go, Croaks. There's a new word for our vocab.
If you have a wider vamp, you'll have like less mesh on the outside and the inside, and more obviously like the laces will come across wider, like you're talking about. It could be that. It means there'll probably be less puckering. One thing that's
puckering.
Oh yeah. So one thing that's like most people that in store, they put this shoe on and they're like, that's comfortable around the foot. So the upper is really nice material, and it tends to be a pretty good fit for the majority of feet we put it on, which is always a good sign.
Where does this sit? Because I've got a few shoes in my rotations from Asics. Where does it sit with the Nova Blast, the Gel Nimbus Light, and my favourite, the Glide Ride?
They're all so different.
Are they? Okay.
The two that are similar are the Nimbus Light and the Nova Blast. Like, put them in a little package.
Because they've got more cushioning, like they're softer.
The Nova Blast is more cushioned than the Nimbus Light, in my mind. I think it is, but much less stable, a bit more dynamic. Nimbus Light, more stable, lighter weight than some of their other more cushion neutral shoes, but definitely more stable than a Nova. The Glide Ride is stiff and rocket, designed to unload the foot and ankle joint. The foot and the ankle. Very rocket. It's got a nylon plate in it, so super stiff. We tend to use that as like a therapy shoe in a store. And then the Kayano Light sits kind of at the other end of the wall. It's the closest to the Nimbus Light, except it's got geometry that's like a little bit more supportive. Gotcha.
Jeez, there's a bit to this shoe game, isn't there, Croaks?
There is.
A bit too. I thought I was figuring it out then, too.
Well, they're not really. Everyone follows... Well, Asics are a little different, how they've kind of segmented their shoe categories, but there's like a formula that everyone follows, and they are like how you just asked that question, how does it fit in? Like, these brands ask themselves that question before they even make the shoe. They go, how's this going to fit in? And then it's our job to learn how it fits in and to bring it out for certain people.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask it, because we see it like it seems to be, I'm sure you know it as firsthand, but there's just so many options.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that like either this is an option with these ones, not with these ones, because that's kind of a different category you're looking at. So it's good to know. What's it retail for, the Asics Kayano Light 3?
Oh, geez, you're testing me. Is it like 260, 270? It's 270. So it's the same price as a Kayano.
Okay. Is that a bit of a reduction too? Didn't it used to always be like that was the most expensive shoe, the Kayano?
Yeah, so the Kayano has been 270, I reckon, since I started working back in 2011.
Inflation doesn't exist with the Kayano.
Well, Asics have done well to maintain their prices like this, but there's other brands that haven't listened to, like, that have just gone bang, bang, up. Whereas it's like Nike and Asics have done quite a good job at maintaining their prices.
Something to look out for. Massive thanks to Asics for the Kayano Light 3s. Check them out. We'll put a link on our social media, I think, a bit later in the week. Thanks for carrying us through that review, Moose. Listener question, Croaks.
Before we get to that, though, one more bit of running news. The 50K world record was broken by CJ Albertson in the US. He ran 2 hours 38 and 43 seconds, which is basically 3:10s per kilometre. So that's flying. I think so the equivalent marathon pace, basically going through a marathon, sub 2:14 and continuing for 50K.
Oh, I thought it was 2:12 he went through.
Well, he might have went through that, but that's what the average pace is. Yeah.
Oh, geez, impressive. That's an ultra record. Well, that's an ultra run I could get around, that one.
Yeah, but we've sort of been saying it for a while. Like, you know, as soon as you get somebody who's, you know, run a pretty quick, like, flat marathon, have a crack at these 50K world records, like, the times will come down. So he's run 2:10:23 at Boston. So, you know what I mean? Like,
he does that off the front too, doesn't he?
He won. He was in the front until like 25K one year.
Yeah.
Finished 7th at the US trials on that hilly course. I think he ran 2:11.
Oh, wow.
In Atlanta.
He's no dud. He knows what he's doing, this guy.
Yeah.
That's good.
So listener question. We've had a couple come in about treadmills recently, so I thought I won't read both the questions, but essentially the one that I got here, I've recently had to start traveling for work to some hot climate countries, and we're doing a lot more running on treadmills. What are some tips to get the most out of treadmill sessions, jogs, workouts, and how to best stay motivated? Are there specific ways to set the machine up for sessions? If you do extensive treadmill running, can you lose conditioning or get injured on the roads more easily? Well, Brady, you don't run much on treadmills.
Nah, a couple of times on holidays in the last 10 years, but yes, I've got nothing to add here. You two boys can take this.
Any advice you've got first, Moose, for treadmills? Doing sessions or running on treadmills regularly?
Oh, I put it up to 1%, just because it seems like it makes less noise when I do that. Like, it's less clunky, and like apparently it's the same sort. Like, they did a study back in the day. It was the same sort of effect on like the lack of wind resistance on the treadmill. If you put up to 1%, it's the same sort of effect on your running economy.
Yeah. So for me, like if I'm doing sessions, and as I said earlier in the show, I much prefer doing a session on the treadmill than just a consistent, 60, 70 minute run, because I'll do my 20-minute warm up, jump off, change shoes, do my session, jump off, change shoes, do my 20 minutes. So it takes the boredom out of it a little bit. When I'm doing my sessions, the two ones that I generally do are, intervals of 3 minutes to 6 minutes. I keep the treadmill running at the same pace. I just jump off, basically put my hand on the handles, put my feet on the sides, and then I get off the treadmill, walk around for an hour, often for a minute. Often take a drink, especially once it starts to warm up. I find your heart rate can really creep up. So, having that 1 minute break just keeps the heart rate in check. You can have a bit of a drink. So that's for my interval sessions. If I'm doing a continuous, like I tried to do tempos on the treadmill, but a 30-minute tempo on the treadmill, I just got bored. So I started then doing that fartlek, because once you change the stimulus every, 2 to 7 minutes, it makes 30 minutes go a lot faster. In terms of conversion from outside to inside, I always feel like I'm running faster on the treadmill. So, for example, if I'm doing K reps on the treadmill at 320s, it feels like I'm having to run. It feels like my leg turnover has to be a lot faster on the treadmill than I would for outside. That's why I use the heart rate strap. So I try and just keep my heart rate similar to what it would be outside for those sessions.
How do you guys go mentally on that? What do you think about? How do you get through that? That's the worst part.
You need a screen. You got to have a screen.
Yeah, I got a screen. I have a playlist going for my sessions. That helps. For my easy runs, I find the treadmill helps me focus on form a little bit more. For some reason, I know the treadmill pulls your leg back and you're probably not using your hamstrings as much and things like that. But for some reason, I get a better feel of where my foot's hitting the ground on the treadmill than I do when I'm outside. So I often just focus on form. I don't know. It's like, well, it's no different in a long, like if I'm out on a long run, it's like, what do you think about on a long run? You just, so like, but as I said, I get bored if I'm on there for more than an hour in one go. I don't know how people do 2 hour long runs on there. I'd struggle to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Good chatting about some treadmills. Moose on the Loose, purchase of the week.
Today, just a recent one. The AFL draft camp 2K time trial was on. 2K.
Explain this to overseas listeners.
Oh, overseas. So it's like the draft camp. Like everyone's got it. It's like they go there and they do jumping and running and sprinting. Like, the NFL has one. They go to draft camp and they do that. What is it? The 10-meter dash or something. And
40 meter.
Is that what it is?
They probably do a 10. They probably do a 40 as well.
Well, they've got a few tests they do, and they have in the AFL one. They have the 2K time trial, so they do that around a track. Keep in mind 2K, right? So this is just 5 laps around an athletics track. Well, one kid went out too hard, and he was struggling towards the end, and one of the guys that was obviously behind him, he helped him into the finish line. But the carry on in the comments about how this was super dangerous for this, and there was no medical attention immediately given to the kid who had gone out too hard, and how he was stumbling across the track and he was in danger and no one was helping him. Can we understand what's happened here a second? This is not the Hawaiian Ironman when someone's like purely depleted, dehydrated, like dangerously close to death. This guy's run 4.5 laps around the track. He ran too fast. He's having to slow down, and he's honestly he's probably never dealt with this type of lactate build-up before, that he's having trouble getting his legs going. This is not dangerous. This is not somewhere where we need to roll the ambulance out and we need to fire medical staff or whatever. Can we just let people find their limits without calling the ambulance for it? Oh,
the problem is though,
videotaping it and posting it.
This article is on mainstream media, so most of the people that are probably commenting don't do any athletics or any sport. So that's probably the problem.
What about the comment from Colleen here? Can I read this one out? This is about the person who stopped and helped him get over the line. What a hero. Reminds me of the Olympic Commonwealth Games with John Landy and Roger Bannister. And in brackets she's got, may not have been those two. I stand corrected. Many years ago now.
It was
Colleen. She actually Collingwood Magpie. She's got one of those Go Pies things at the bottom of her display picture, which I love. How the kind of people we're attracting at our club.
Okay, so
it wasn't Landy and Bannister for starters, but she's
could be
Olympics.
Could be a good strategy for that guy though that helped, because he's like, well, I'm not running a real quick time, but so I might as well stop now, and then it gives me teammate bonus points. Club might want to pick me up because I'm all about the team.
Great from him.
He came off the absolute hero in this when he was running a very slow time trial. It's just a little bit soft at the moment, I reckon. I don't reckon cane corns are like that.
Oh no, that might be on the volcano next couple of weeks, you reckon?
Oh, there is no volcano in summer.
Oh yeah.
Volcano's
Maybe
over.
you can do it on his radio show. Cornsy, if you're listening, get it in there.
Call in. Yeah. He does talk back. I should start calling in.
You would be the perfect old guy calling in too and talk back, just whinging about stuff.
I just rev him up.
I love that.
That's it. I've bought some dog stuff lately. Jesus, this dog costed me a fortune. I had a professional dog trainer come down last week.
Oh, did you? Come down from where? Melbourne.
Winch, you'll see. Did a one-on-one session.
Good.
One-on-one personal. It was very good, actually, an hour, very insightful. He just showed me the basics. We discussed how it was similar to running training, very much an art versus science with the dogs. You can read all the books you want, but until you see a dog in front of you, you really don't know how to act, and you got to learn the dog. You got to learn the athlete.
Yeah, you could have just watched a YouTube video on that, though, couldn't you? What did it cost you to get him down there?
I've watched all the YouTube videos.
Algorithm, sending a few at your way.
How's Brady dealing with all of these purchases? Any strain on the marriage?
Doesn't like the dog. The dog trainer came in and encouraged her to come and do some training, and she just stared at him.
What's a dog trainer cost Moose for an hour? That'd be a good $200, wouldn't it?
150.
150. Yeah, that's not too bad. 150 to travel down there as well. Right. Yeah.
I can see where this is going, Moose. Bree, Julian, you have to choose. It's either me or the dog.
Well, I like this dog. I put a bit of effort into it. I'll have to bring it to a race and I want to show off how good he is. I'll do a little...
start an Instagram account for it. That's where you're going to get the likes.
Yeah, that's good, actually. There's a lot of
competitive now, though.
Like, yeah, dogs on Instagram stuff. Like, I follow a few, and they put like videos and music and shit. It's a bit of work. I reckon they do it full time.
Carly's sister does one for her dog. I think the dog's got more followers than she does. I reckon it's pretty.
What's its name? What's the handle?
Not sure.
Don't follow it. Follow it.
The dog's name's Mango. Not sure exactly what the handle is, though. But anyway, this isn't a dog podcast. What's coming up, boys? What do you got coming up, Croaks?
I think I'm going to meet a few boys down at Thoroughbred Park tomorrow for a session down on the horse track. Haven't been down there for over a year, so be good to sneak on there and do a few laps.
Yeah, good. You back at work this week?
Yep. Back today. Went back today.
Back on the chalk. Moose, what have you been doing? Or what are you doing?
This week?
Yeah.
Got Piers' birthday party on Sunday.
Oh, that'd be good. A few cans?
Yeah. No, I'm going to run after it, so I'll be kicking everyone out after a couple of hours. There'll be a time limit on this house.
Yeah.
I'll set an alarm. You hear it past 2 hours, we're sorry, we've got to go.
It's like the old COVID rules. Remember that? When you wanted to go out for lunch and you needed a booking for like an hour only or whatever?
Perfect.
Strange
what about
times.
you, Brady? What's your big marathon workout this week?
I haven't written it yet, Croaks. Got a couple in there. Just going to wait and see how I'm feeling later in the week. Meant to be a bit of rain Wednesday, Thursday. Going to do some 1Kers actually Wednesday. That's locked in, but not sure about the big one yet. See how I'm going later on the week. But I'm going to be doing Wednesday night. I think I'm calling it Road to Valencia with Christian and our other co-host, which I haven't locked in yet. Got a couple of DMs to shoot. My man Toby, Ben Parks and I have made a bit of contact. Nothing locked in there yet either. I think it was a bit of a surprise for him when he heard his name mentioned last week, possibly getting involved on this program. And then I need to find my replacement, boys. I'm here for the next couple of weeks. I've got two guys. I got one girl, one guy. I've got up my sleeve. So next week you'll be hearing someone different. You two boys will be there. And then I'll be back after Valencia, I reckon. Good plan. Real good plan.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to you guys. Call me in 1 week, can you? Like we just did with Reece Edwards. Just call me in for 10 minutes. I'll just miss you boys after a few weeks.
Hey, you'll be calling in like a callback radio person.
I'll be doing that, actually.
I won't be able to stop you.
I'm surprised Brady's actually going to give us the reins.
Yeah, no, I'm just...
Because it is his baby.
No, I have this week. I let Croaks do all the notes. No, I've just got busy life stuff going on. Anyway, so I'll be there Wednesday nights. But I'll miss all the listeners the next 10 weeks unless you're on Patreon. Hear about it over there and do it all again next week, boys. See you later. No interview this week. Yeah. Might get one in the next couple of weeks though.
We just did Reece Edwards.
Yeah, well, I meant like a long interview. Reece was good though. I like that.
You should interview him.
I do like the little interviews. They're much easier on our time. The little pop-up guests. I've got a few people to interview. We'll see what happens there. Right, yeah, I'll turn the show. See you, boys.
See ya.
See you guys.
Special thanks to ASICS for sponsoring this week's episode of the Inside Running podcast. Lightweight and stable, the new Gel Kayano Light 3 is made with 70% recycled polyester materials by weight to help you put your mind and your runs at ease. Visit asics.com.au to get your pair today.
It's all the same, I'll keep on